And that's Jomboy. His name in real life outside of Twitter is Jimmy O'Brien. He's got the Talking Yanks podcast. He's got the Talking Baseball podcast. And his company, Jomboy Media, is the reason that you're seeing all these videos and pictures and still images with this Astro scandal. He's joining us in studio. Jomboy, thanks for being here. How are you?
Thank you for having me, guys. And thanks for getting the full name. My mom's always happy when Jimmy O'Brien gets out there.
Well, that's good. I'm sure she's happy about Jomboy, too. So you came to light around the whole Savages thing when Aaron Boone went out there and was screaming at the umpire, telling everybody that his hitters are savages. And then all of a sudden you took off, and now it's like you are a rising media star. How does that feel?
It's wild. It's fun. I'd like to say my day-to-day hasn't changed at all. I wake up and sit by the computer for 15 hours, but the people listening and watching has grown, and I think there's been a lot of fun around it. So for the most part, besides some Astros fans, but it's fun.
Yeah, but Astro fans, how about any Astro personnel? Anybody reach out to you? Anybody go off on you?
No, there's been, I know that the GM's wife was going crazy on Twitter for a little bit, and she was defending her husband, which is fair, but I think she just went private. I think there was something about me. I don't know. Again, my mom sent that to me.
This is Lou now. So this is Lou now.
Lou now, yeah.
Right, yeah. So, interesting. What do you think the future for Lou now may be?
Well, on my podcast, I told my audience this, and I think he's out. I don't know if it's re-signing or whatever, but I think this is going to be a pretty heavy fines. I didn't at first.
Yeah.
And now with all these allegations continuing to come out and how quiet the Astros have been, when they were accused of pine tar and the smaller things, they were at the forefront of defending themselves. Yeah. Remember when Bauer told them they were using pine tar? All the pitchers came out and said, hey, be quiet. They haven't said anything.
Right.
They haven't said a word. So I think
maybe Major League Baseball. Now, the question, like Gio has brought this up many times, that we all believe that Major League Baseball knew something was going on, and especially after the Red Sox scandal with the Apple Watches and all that other stuff, and baseball put out the edict, don't do this. These fines are going to be more significant, more impactful, all that other stuff. So we kind of believe that Major League Baseball probably knew that this was going on.
100%. They just came out that in 2019, they had someone stationed in each park, and they
told the cameras had to be category.
Yeah,
right?
and they told the people stationed at Minute Maid Park, listen for banging. So the banging from 2017 they knew that within the league. They told people to look out for it. That's why the Astros changed their relay system from banging to
whistling.
Whistling. The earpiece is rumored. Now these buzzers are rumored, and none of those can be confirmed. But the banging from 2017, that's confirmed, basically.
Right, and I, not to sit here and kiss your ass, but quite frankly, I believe that this has accelerated and you've been a major catalyst in this, because it's one thing to read in an article they were doing this. For you then to support that article with a video or a still image, that makes it really clear to everybody, right? So I believe that these things that you've been putting out and the research and everything you have done has gotten us to the point where everybody believes that this is exactly what they were doing. I mean, and how come, I guess my question, you're better at this than Major League Baseball is?
Well, I think they wanted to keep it in-house. But I don't know. It's just kind of what I do. Whenever I listen to podcasts or anything, like, R2C2 has this podcast with Rucco and Cece. And
yeah.
I'm a Yankee fan. I'd listen to that. They'd talk about plays in the past. I'd go find the footage. I'd match it. I'd post it. So I've been doing this for years now. It's just people like to see the visuals with the stories. So as soon as that happened with the article from The Athletic, I went and made the video. And Ken Rosenthal actually said, thank you for that, because it verified his report.
Right.
And The Athletic, Evan Drelich and Ken Rosenthal, they went out on a limb to post this, because if you're wrong or nothing comes of it, that's a bad look. And they're professionals. So I think they've been working on this for a while.
How hard was it to find that video and then also to hear the banging in the background?
It's not hard at all. And and so everyone thinks I spent hours working on all these clips, and maybe I shouldn't change that thought process because it makes me sound like a hard worker. But I crowdsourced this to my podcast audience. I told them, if you Google at Houston 2017, you pull up any game on YouTube, you'll find this bang. Put on headphones, watch a game in the 6th, 7th, 8th inning.
You got to know what you're listening for.
Yes, and that's why Farquhar and Fire's going on record and telling us exactly what to hear. We can find it. People say, you're just doing this because it's the Astros and you're a Yankees fan. No, I mean, if something comes out about another team and we know exactly what to look for, we'll go find it. It's fun.
Right. I mean, the bottom line is you're after your own bottom line here. You're not going to protect the Yankees over Jomboy Media, right? I mean, this is what you do. If there's something out there you can expose, that's what's going to happen.
So can you go back and listen to all the games of the 2017 ALCS?
Yes, but the rumor is they changed their method away from the banging because it was too loud or because teams caught on. And the whistling, like I said this, I'm not going to go listen for whistles because there's so many. I think, Texans like to whistle.
Yeah.
There's so many whistles. And then there's all the earpiece thing. We're not going to be able to prove that. They got a little smarter. The banging was fairly dumb.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But can you actually, in any way, shape, or form, find where the camera is in Minute Maid Park?
No, there's people been doing that, but I don't believe the picture's enough or know anything to actually share them myself.
Right.
But what Minute Maid Park does is they have this thing on their website called, and it's a whole panorama of the entire stadium, and they say, like, tag yourself. So you can go before every single game and scan every image of the park. And there is one image where there's like 4 broadcast cameras that say Fox or whatever network, and one camera above that's unmanned and has no logo attached. Maybe, but that's just like very speculative, like maybe.
Talking to Jimmy O'Brien, he is Jomboy on Twitter. You probably know him by now, covering this whole Astros story. There's a ton of video out there. If you haven't seen it, I mean, it really is remarkable. It's clear as day. I mean, take me through the feeling of when you read the Athletic article and then you go and you try to support it and then you find all these bangs. You must be thinking like, this is unbelievable. I just hit the jackpot here, right?
It's a little disheartening, actually, when you watch it. And now other people have made all these montages. And yeah, I hit the jackpot. It's fun. I didn't realize that it was going to blow up because this is kind of just what I'd done, with the glass not tipping pitches. I made that right away.
Right.
And Snell was tipping pitch. I don't know. So I just make these. And then I was sitting in my apartment. And I actually had like the whole Verizon crew was setting up my cable internet. And I saw my Twitter going crazy. And I called my girlfriend and I was like, I think I did something big. Look at this. So it was pretty wild, and then it's been fun. And like I said, like we crowdsourced the banging. They're very easy to find.
Yeah. All right. So you're out there thinking that maybe Jeff Lunau might be out. There's going to be some severe penalties. So the Major League Baseball part of this and how they suspend guys, fine guys. There's somebody here in New York that is concerned, we're all concerned about, and Carlos Beltran, who is now the manager of the Mets. Is there any specific Beltran evidence that you have stumbled across that's going to end up screwing him and the Mets in the future?
No, I think the only thing that he might have screwed himself with is talking. Everyone else has stayed quiet. Why did he come out and deny it so heavily when no one else is,
Yeah.
So I bet he wishes he could take that back and just stay quiet for a little bit. Who knows? Cora was involved. There's that really weird press conference with Cora in London where he says Beltran's probably the best free agent signing the Yankees have had because they're really good at picking up things now, and he winks at the camera.
Right.
And then he says, I'm not talking about devices. And it's like, well, no one said you were. So it's kind of this whole string of things, and it's like, what's going on here?
I mean, if Cora and Beltran are involved, and A.J. Hinch is obviously the manager here, you would think that Major League Baseball is going to interview all these guys.
I would hope so.
What would your advice be to the guys who are being interviewed? What would you tell them?
Don't talk, like be quiet. I don't know.
I said tell them the truth.
Well, yeah,
better, because if they find out if you're lying about it, then what happens? Then the cover-up is worse than the crime itself, right?
Yeah, but the crime's so bad, and it's run top down. Like this is the first, executives put this in place. But gambling was gamblers went to players, and Pete Rose was just one guy. This is a top-down executive-run cheating scandal.
And this is also a team that had an executive get bounced off the team because of his comments in regards to a pitcher when it came to domestic violence.
Yeah.
And a Taubman kid from Syosset here.
Yeah, and he's lawyering up now and apparently working with the MLB, so maybe he exposes this thing.
So do you think that Taubman had any action in this part of the organization?
There's some weird coincidences or rumors out there that Taubman and that guy, I forget his name, Goldstein, he was the one that sent the email saying, hey, we're looking to spy.
Yeah, right.
Anyone can help us, to the whole scouting department. And then there's this little group of scouts that were apparently in charge of this operation.
But there were other scouts that didn't like it either. There were other scouts that said, look, we don't want to be a part of this.
And the cool thing is I've had a lot of people reach out to me because I put myself at the forefront of this, even though I don't want to take anything, I haven't broke any news. Ken Rosenthal and Evan Drellich.
You're confirming it.
I'm helping put visuals to it, and so is my audience that's helping me find the visuals. But Where was I before that?
Well, we're talking about Taubman. We're talking about Goldstein. We're talking about how, Taubman basically has been fired because of obviously Houston had no choice but to fire him for his actions.
Yeah.
Now, he is lawyered up, you're saying.
That's what I've heard.
Now supposedly helping MLB. Do we think that he was a part of this whole kind of like, what do you want to call it, this electronic surveillance process?
Yeah, like a spy ring. Yeah, I think everyone was a part of it. Yeah. I think everyone was. I think the executives sold it to the players and said, everyone in baseball is doing this. Because think about that Astros team. It's Springer, Altuve, Correa, Gurriel. There's another one. They're all homegrown. They never played for any other organization. I was told by someone, and this is just hearsay, that I think the Astros thought every team was going to this extent. And I think other teams were like, well, we do stuff, but not like electronic buzzers and video and, this extent. So I think because there's a quote from Lance McCullers in 2018, he tweeted out, if every team is stealing signs electronically, like it was just every team's doing it. And it's like, I don't think every single team, I think a lot of teams have tried this and implemented things, but I think that no one was doing it this much. Otherwise, baseball is screwed.
Talking to Jimmy O'Brien, Jomboy on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. The image and the video that really spoke to me was the one that you put out there from the championship DVD, where you got players walking from the dugout up into the clubhouse, and then you see the table, you see the TV screen, you see some laptops, you see the garbage pail, you see the towels hanging down there. I mean, that setup right there, that's only for one thing, right? I mean, this is not anything else. We can't be misinterpreting that, right?
Well, a lot of Astros fans are saying that's the replay center, which doesn't make any sense because why do they get on the phone and call the guy watching replays if he's 10 feet away? That's not the replay center.
Right.
And then you have a bunch of major league players that are, responding to these pictures I'm posting saying, no, that's sketchy. Why break it down after Game 3 of the World Series when Game 4 and 5 are the next days in the same place? Why would you break down an entire 3-monitor setup right behind the dugout? So that's a little sketchy. And the main thing is it just corroborates the story we heard from the Athletic and Mike Fiers. Like the setup that was explained, now we have a visual. So do we know for sure this was happening? No, but it matches the evidence that was given or the reporting that was given to us already.
It's amazing when you talk about the core press conference in London, you talk about McCullers, you also talk about Carlos Beltran saying, well, all I did was look at computers because we studied everybody on computers. Those are the computers.
Yeah, there's a lot of nitty, tiny little details.
And you tie them all together, it sounds like one big, scandal is what it sounds like and what it looks like.
Yeah, I think it's pretty damning and pretty bad.
Now, as a Yankee fan and a guy who's, does a Yankee podcast, does this piss you off? Thinking back to 2017, do you feel cheated out of an ALCS?
I didn't specifically feel upset. I hate the Red Sox. I don't really care about the Astros, but I kind of am starting to really dislike their fan base because they lack critical thinking.
Yeah.
And they keep yelling at me, and it's really bothering me. But there's a bunch that I think are disheartened by this and heartbroken. I think it's mostly the casual fans who they can yell and scream easier than the diehards usually.
Right.
But someone put the whole montage of the 2017 on YouTube. It's 20 minutes long. I didn't watch all of it. But when you hear the bang for off speed, and when you see, if you watch that and you see a guy get a hit after hearing the bang, it really upsets me. It's like,
There was one where I saw Carlos Beltran is in the box, and you could hear the bang or not, and then all of a sudden you hear the bang, and then he just rips one down the first baseline.
It's so unfair.
I mean, he's right on it, And look, he was a great hitter long before this, and you just wonder late in your career, you're looking at different ways to get an edge. This could be a way to get an edge, right?
Wow. Yes, especially when you're that old and all of that, and your bat speed isn't there. It really helps a guy like him at that point. All right, so I want to talk to you about the Yankees, though, and of course, go to Jomboy on Twitter to see all these videos and these still images we're talking about. Why did the Yankees not get to the World Series and win it this year? The biggest reason in your mind?
Well, starting pitching didn't give him enough innings, and then the bullpen was overused. And the bullpen was pretty good besides Ottavino, and they really tired him out at the end of the season. But I think, Zach Britton's quotes at the end of the year speak volumes when he says, you need starters to go a while. You can have a good bullpen and it can be really helpful, but you can't lean on it for 4 or 5 innings every game. The Severino injury, what it actually is? No one's really talked about this. The Severino setback. If you remember, he was supposed to come back. Then they said, he got another injury because he didn't get an MRI because he doesn't like getting doesn't like going in the machine.
Right.
If he does that and comes back and maybe has 10 starts under his belt before the postseason, maybe he's a little lengthened out, a little more polished. So I think that's actually one of the biggest ones. Betances going down, Herman leaving. Those two are really huge that you can't really, we had those a week out.
Well, the two starters, Herman and Severino, obviously missing all that time, and then obviously being taken off with Herman hurts. And we always talk about you can have a bullpen game. It's fancy. It's nice. It's 2019, if you will. But it's better to have 5 starters and 5 starters that are going to go more than 5 innings, like, maybe every other time. You can't just go 4 innings and 5 innings and take Tanaka out when, he can't give you another inning because you're in the middle of July.
Yeah, and the Yankees did everything. They did everything they could to avoid this. They didn't have a reliever pitch 3 days in a row all year. It was the only team that did that. They didn't have. I think they only had 1 reliever in the top 25 in the AL for innings pitched. So they were really careful about overusing the bullpen during the season, and they were good enough because over 162 games, your bats can carry you. When you get to the playoffs, you need starters to go deep, and that's kind of what they realized.
The Nationals also brought Corbin in. Yeah. And Corbin won 3 innings in Game 7, and he was their starter. He was their big acquisition in the offseason.
The Nationals had 2 relievers.
Yeah. Well, what about the offense though? I mean, lack of big hits was a big problem for the Yankees in the postseason, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean the
who's your
offense
shortstop this year? Who's your shortstop this year?
Glaber. I think Didi's gone. I think there was kind of some tells there where Didi didn't feel like himself all season. I think Didi is ready for a new place because, and this is honest, this is just my thoughts.
Yeah.
Didi was like a main guy in the clubhouse, right? He misses the first half, and the Yankees is a revolving door. When he gets back to the Yankees, it's not his guys. Like, it's a whole new team and a whole new vibe. He doesn't know Talkman.
I bet you wherever he goes, he's going to have a great year because he's going to be a year removed from his injury now, a year and a half removed from his injury. He'll feel a lot better, and I think he's going to have a great year. I think wherever he plays, whether he plays for the Yankees or whatever new team, he's going to have an absolutely – because the injury now is done. His arm is fine. He knows that it's fine, and he knows he's going to have a bounce-back
He's
year.
a top-tier player.
Yeah,
and,
I think so.
The home runs might be dropped a little because he only hits home runs to right field, and Yankee Stadium is nice for that. So it depends where he goes. But – we'll see. I'd be happy if Didi came back. I just don't think, without even offering him the qualifying offer and the way he was a little dismissive towards the end or kind of just seemed zoned out. So I think he might be ready for the next adventure.
One of the things I have to give you credit for, in addition to all this other stuff we're giving you credit for, is when you cover like one specific team, and I've seen this with beat writers over the years, they end up getting jaded. Like when a game goes into extra innings, they're like, oh my God. Like whatever, there's a rain delay or something. Now, I don't know if you're doing this behind the scenes, but following you on Twitter and some of your post-game recaps and stuff, I mean, you're still as into it as you ever have been. It's different for us. We cover all the teams. We can, pick and choose whatever we want to talk about. When you're locked into one team like that, you got to be locked into one team. And then I'll watch something the next morning, like at 4 a.m., of you who was up on a West Coast game till 2 a.m. with your eyes all blurry, and you're watching every friggin' pitch. I mean, that's still you still got that passion for it. That's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of, whenever someone asks me that hypothetical, what would you do if you were, commissioner of baseball? I'd tell people that cover baseball to stop talking trash about baseball. From top down, everyone tells everyone how boring this sport is and how bad it is. Stop doing that. Sunday night, ESPN crew constantly talks about how boring the game is.
Yeah.
How is anyone going to want to watch baseball?
You're still listening to that podcast? Right. Yeah. We stop listening to that podcast.
I got 2 quick questions for you. One, Garrett Cole Yankee next year?
No.
Where is he? Is he with the Angels?
I think Angels, and I think the Texas Rangers are going to make a late push.
Okay.
But I hope he's a Yankee, and I let you know, I let myself think no, so if it works, I am happy.
All right, and give me your thoughts on Stanton.
I hope he can stay healthy. I think Stan's handled the New York media perfectly. I'm rooting for him. Mm-hmm. I hope he can stay healthy because I think he's going to come back angry and with a vengeance. And I like him. So he's a top tier player. So root for him.
Yeah. So what's next for you now? I mean, now that you've hit it big, you got to capitalize on this thing, man. You're hot. People want to talk to you. You're in here. We're talking to you. What's next for Jomboy Media?
We're just going to keep doing our thing. We put out, we have 14 podcasts on the network. We put out content every single day, long form, short form, just working as hard as we can to talk about things we genuinely love in a way that we think other people like hearing about it. So
And you got a lot of employees now. You got more than just your co-host Jake, right? I mean, you got more.
Yeah, we have. I mean, almost 5. How about that?
All right. Yeah, pretty good. Health insurance is next. They'll be asking for that. So.
Yeah, my mom will be happy about that when that happens too.
All right. Well, listen, it was a pleasure having you in. Great work on everything, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you soon.